Alright guys, I'm back with another video. I decided to do something different this time around. So basically, sometimes we work in different digital audio workstations and we receive files from different sources, right? For an example, in this track right here, I recorded this artist in my studio and he has two other featured artists on the same track. Now, both of those artists are coming from other countries. So they use different workstations. So I received the files and I'm going to show you how I line up the reference track, how I arrange the track, and how I put it all together so everything falls in place. Let's begin with the first artist. Obviously the vocals are rough, they haven't been touched yet, and this is a Spanish artist from Puerto Rico. But he recorded this in my studio. Now, let's go into the files that was sent to me from another country. The first thing I do is bring all the files in. And as you can see, I have a reference track, okay? I like to line up their reference track with my original session to keep everything in sync. As you can see, the kick right here starts a little bit earlier. And the kick on their session starts much later. What I like to do is line this up first. Let's get it as close as possible because this is the reference track. This is how we're going to line up our vocals coming from that other studio. We're going to zoom in and we're going to match this waveform . Let's push it on over. And we can also play it. Once you start hearing that little phase sound, when you play both of those tracks, you're practically on the money. You just have to nudge it a little bit to the left or to the right to get it really spot on. Right around here.
Les volcamos el canal, les prendí el palo en la cara. Nos fuimos de la escena, ya no me quedaban balas. Me dieron 20,000, los gasté Gucci en Prada.
Okay, that sounds a lot better. Now, let's go into the vocals. Here we have his lead, his highlights, some more highlights, and another lead. So now, we're going to line up the waves. What you could do is always zoom in as much as possible. These waves are off. Let's push all of that back. Let's get that right on point. Try to search for the wave in the vocal that can guide you. Okay, I see a little peak right there. And if you feel unsure, always play it with the reference.
Compré más pistola y bala. Ey, compré más pistola y bala para ver quién se resbala. Dile a tu santo que a mí nadie me sala. Todos son 9 cajas para enterrarlo sin las palas. Compré más pistola y bala. El palo Versace.
Alright, we're pretty on point with this one. Let's go ahead and mute the reference. And let's listen to the raw vocals with the beat.
Compré más pistola y bala. Ey, compré más pistola y bala para ver quién se resbala. Dile a tu santo que a mí nadie me sala. Todos son 9 cajas.
Nice. It's on point. We're on time. Let's jump into the other vocals that was sent from a different country. Let's drag it in. And as you can see, they both did their verse on the same spot, right? So let's go ahead and mute the first guy. And let's go into the second feature. Same exact scenario. We're going to line the reference track, which is in green, with the original beat, which is in blue, right up here. Always look for the kick. See where it drops. This one is a lot closer than the last one, as you can see. We might not have to nudge so much. I see the waveform. We're going to push this back right over here. So this typically happens because how they rendered their track, or maybe they pushed it, or, you know, they used the MP3 track to drop their vocals, and sometimes that leaves a little bit of space in the beginning when you render the track. So this is very important to line this up as close as possible. Look at this. You can see it right here. Boom. Line it up with the red one. The reason why it looks so different from the top is because this is just the beat, whereas they used the track with his vocals on it, which was what we had down here in purple. So the waves might look a little bit different. Always try to line it up as much as you can. All right, the reference is lined up. Let's listen to the reference track with my original session.
Siempre dos guay te mandamos con la Betty. 30 balas pa' la cara, un déjà vu. Les volcamos el canal, salieron hasta por YouTube. Si me endemonio con los diablos, les sacamos el Majin Buu. En Filadelfia trataron de darme y se le...
All right, we're on. Another thing you could do is you could color code it so you won't get confused with so much stuff. So like, let's say the second session that we had, or the second vocals that we received, we're just going to put them in orange. Let's go ahead and put the other one in a different color so we could just identify it really fast off the rip. Let's put that in blue for now. Perfect. So we have that. This in blue too, because this was the reference from JS. And let's put all of this back in orange. All right. Now we have everything lined up. We can start rearranging this or moving this to the right or extending the beat depending on who goes first, who goes second, who goes third. So let's go ahead and just put the orange tracks, the third verse. Another thing you can see is that there's not enough beat up here. So we have to extend the beat and then either run the tracks that are in blue all the way to the right as the third verse, or run the track in orange to the right for the third verse, depending on who goes first, second, and third. This may change, it may vary, it all depends on the track. So let's just go ahead and listen to it and see where I can chop it up to extend the beat and put either or third.
Sacaron los tambores y se cayeron todos. Te rociamos con la cabra y te perforamos el pulmón. Pa' matarte yo no necesito perco, ¿oíste, bro? Yo soy el más duro, cabrones. Yo soy Bonilla, cabrones. El Raptor. Oye, dime Bonnie, la máquina. Dime Tyrell. Dime Johnny el Sangre.
So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to extend the beat. That's the most important part. This is going to give me enough space to do the second and third verse. Okay, drops right there. Let's see how that sounds.
Dime Johnny el Sangre. Esto es desde PR hasta Filadelfia.
That's perfect. As you can see, he had an outro on that track. So we extended the beat. Now, let's go ahead and highlight the vocals in orange and push it to create the third verse. Let's make sure it falls on the drop. I already previously chopped it where the drop is, so it lines up with my grid. Okay, let's listen to that.
Cabrones, el Raptor. Siempre dos guay te mandamos con la Betty. 30 balas pa' la cara, un déjà vu. Les volcamos el canal, salieron hasta por YouTube.
Perfect. And there's just enough beat for him to continue going. Now, let's go back into the blue track, which is the other feature. And this will automatically fall in place as so.
Gasté Gucci en Prada y con lo que sobró compré más pistola y bala.
Compré más pistola y bala. Ey, compré más pistola y bala para ver quién se resbala. Dile a tu santo que a mí nadie me sala.
You see that? Came in nicely. And let's see how the transition works over here.
¿Qué pasa? Que se viró en el piso, la azotó. Compré más pistola y bala.
Te mandamos con la Betty. 30 balas para la cara de Yabu. Le volcamos el
Now, as you can see, the guy in blue did an outro. So let's just go ahead and mute his outro for now because that goes at the end.
Siempre dos guay te mandamos con la Betty. 30 balas para la cara de Yabu. Le volcamos el canal, salieron hasta por YouTube. Si me endemonio con los diablos, le sacamos el Majin Buu.
Everything lines up beautifully. And now the record is ready to be mixed. We can go back in. We can start nudging things around if need be. Some of the highlights were a little bit off. Bring the ad-libs down. Just get the process going to make it sound cohesive. I hope this video was informative. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll have more tips and more tricks on how to engineer your audio.